Welcome to August. This is a special edition video based on a special request. Someone asked me a question that I have been asked several times over the years. And after I provided the answer, or my answer, this person said, Ada, why don't you make a video about this? And I was like, sounds like a great idea. But I decided to check with my executive producer first. Yes, I checked with God first. And he asked me to proceed. And the interesting thing about it was, he gave me a quip to go with it. Fancy that. So, join me in the quip corner and find out a bit more. Welcome. Yes. What was the question, right? Why don't I start with the quip while you keep guessing what the question was? And the quip that ties, or shall I say, the quip that this video is using as a launching pad, yeah, that's a better phrase, is quip 48, which says, it is always safer to ask questions than to guess the answer and get it wrong. For some people, you may know the adage, go figure that out. And it comes in different languages. There will be a translation. It simply means the person who asks questions doesn't get lost. And so the question this person asked me was, Ada, what do you think about tithing? This is one question that people have over and over and over again. Amongst other things, people ask questions about. And my attitude to some of these things is to share what I believe and let the person decide what they believe and what they will do. So why don't we start with the Bible passage that a lot of people use when discussing tithing. Malachi 3, verses 9 to 11. And I'm reading from the Amplified Classic Edition. It says, "You are cursed with a curse, for you are robbing me, even this whole nation. Bring all the tithes, the whole tenth of your income, into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. And prove me now by it, says the Lord of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven for you and pour out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer, insects and plagues for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine drop its fruit before the time in the field, says the Lord of hosts." First off, verse 10 defines the word tithe, a whole tenth of your income. And when this person asked me the question, one of my first questions back, or shall I say, one of my responses to the question, which was a question, is, do you want net or gross blessings? And for me, that is the starting point. There are people who believe in tithing, but on their own terms. God expects us to bring a tenth of our whole income, not of a part of our income, of the whole income. So I always challenge people, do you want blessings in part or whole blessings? Your answer to that question is your answer to tithing, or at least one of the answers. While talking to this person, the other question I asked while answering their question was, what is the tax rate? And for some countries, it's as high as 40% for the individual. And so I went on to say, okay, you're employed, tax gets deducted at source. No qualms about that. You don't raise an eyelid to say, what? How could you have done that? Why did you take 40% or 30% or 20, whatever? And then we're asking questions about giving God 10%. Does that make sense to you? Well, it doesn't to me. And so for me, the second reason to give my tithe willingly too is even the rate of tithe is lower than my tax rate. And what God does for me and my family is much more than what the government does for me with the tax that I pay. Yes, you could talk about amenities, good roads, and so on and so forth, hospitals. But it's only the living that can even use those amenities. And it's God, only God, who has put you and I on the wake up today list. So what's 10%? Really? My husband quotes Bishop Oyedepo quite a bit and shared a story that he heard from him, where Bishop Oyedepo said when he was much younger, his grandmother always used to send him, when she was too old to do it herself, would send him to the church to drop off her tithe. And one time he asked her in curiosity, why do you keep doing this? And his grandmother's response was, this is the part that we give God that makes him take care of the rest. So really, if giving up 10% would secure the rest, why is it such a question to quabble over? The third thing about tithing is something my husband usually challenges people. And he says, the best time to start tithing is now. Some people are like, oh, when I start making more, then I can tithe. The truth is, if you cannot give $1 of your $10, it won't be any easier to give $1,000 out of 10,000. It doesn't get any easier. But when you get into the habit of giving 10%, regardless of the amount, you'll find that as God increases you, it's a no-brainer giving your tithe. While I was preparing for this video and asking the Lord, what should I say? What shouldn't I say? Knowing that I wanted to say only what will please him, not necessarily please you, because I'd like to help you please him. I was led to another passage in the Bible, in Proverbs 3, verses 9 to 11. I mean, we could read 9 and 10, but I like what it says in verse 11. So let me read all three verses. Proverbs 3, 9 to 11. I guess, isn't it fair if in Malachi we read verses 9 to 11. And chapter 3 too. Let's do that to Proverbs. What's fair is fair. The Passion Translation puts Proverbs 3, 9 to 11 this way. Glorify God with all your wealth, honoring him with your first fruits, with every increase that comes to you. Then every dimension of your life will overflow with blessings from an uncontainable source of inner joy. My child, this is verse 11. My child, when God speaks to you, never take his words lightly and never be upset when he corrects you. See why I said verse 11 was instructive? For some of us, this video may be correcting us. Just know that God is doing it because he loves you and wants the very, 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 very best for you and your family. Just before I wrap up, it's interesting to note that the first time and the last time tithe or a tenth was mentioned in the Bible were in relation to Abraham. Yes, you'll find that in Genesis 14 verses 19 and 20 and in Hebrews 7, 1 and 2. I won't read those. Why don't you go read them and tell me what you think? The point is, both passages relate to Abraham giving a tenth. And a lot of us keep saying, Abraham's blessings are mine. Abraham's blessings are mine. I am blessed in the morning, noon and night. Abraham's blessings are mine. For Abraham's blessings to be yours, why don't you follow in his footsteps and give a tithe of all your income? I'm really, really keen to hear what you think about this. I've just shared with you what I think. Please let me know if you have other questions that you also want answered. And I'll check with my executive producer on how he wants us to deal with those. For now, I thank you for being with me in the Quip Corner, and I look forward to future interactions. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. If you enjoyed this, share it far and wide. Like it as well so that you can play it now and again. Until next time, take care of yourself. And one sure way of doing that is by giving the appropriate tithe. Because as you do that, God himself will take care of you. Bye now. Oh, did I say bye now? Well, yes, I just remembered something. Starting this month, I'm introducing the Quip and Conversation segment. And that's essentially a time when I'll have a guest in the Quip Corner with me. I'll read a quip from my book, pre-agreed of course, and my guests will share their thoughts about it. We'll be discussing a range of topics, dealing with failure, discovering your purpose, marriage, family, relationships, leadership, and it will be interesting to hear people's take on some of the quips in my books. If you'd like to be one of my guests, there's information below this video on how you can reach out to me to express your interest. Thanks. And now, bye for real. See you next time.